Hey y'all, it's Coco.
And your boy Q.
Welcome back to our channel. So today we decided that we were gonna discuss something that we've been kind of not necessarily holding tight to our chest, but something that we've kind of been a little selectively private about, and that is our family planning process. So
trying to make them babies.
So so we mentioned in our intro, for those who watched it, that would be one of the things that we kind of talked about, but we kind of skipped past it. But it's one of the things that I feel like, there are a lot of things when it comes to like babies and choosing to make babies and pregnancy and stuff like that that's considered taboo to talk about. I felt like it was weird that when it comes to things like family planning or pregnancy, miscarriages, things like that we're really secretive about it. And I don't know why, because really when you kind of not that you have to let the world know, but when you have the support of your village, then it helps. It helps, whether it be drawing from wisdom, whether it be people just loving on you if stuff doesn't work out the way that you want, people sharing in your excitement and your pain, and I felt like that was something that as we're starting to focus on mental health, like our generation, shifting toward mental health, shifting toward noticing issues within our health care system, within our the way that we just handle things here, right? I think that it's helpful. It's a helpful start when we can start to be more vulnerable with the people that love us, and so we figured that we would kind of initiate that just by creating a space where we would talk about our family planning. So just for a little background for people who may be watching us for the first time, I am currently in grad school. My second year of grad school will be finished in May, praise the Lord. And then I will be taking a year in between, and during that gap year I will be applying to medical school. So what we're aiming for, we are currently trying for a child. Quentin kind of has this thing where he wants to have our first child before we're 30.
I would like to have I don't think it has to be a thing. I would like family, when it comes to family planning, there is some sort of expectation or ambition in the way that you would like to grow your family, Lord willing and permitting. And so I would like to have my first child before 30. For some people, they don't want to have kids that early. And that is perfectly fine. Whether you have them before 30, after 30, that's up to you. But for me, and, having the ability, praise God, to plan the way that we are, I would like to have our first child before 30.
If it's possible. One of the things that you kind of learn, because we're only 2 months in at this point. So, of course, one of the things that we know is that you can't really plan. You can have an idea, you can have a timeline, but you can't hold hard and fast to those, because then you're going to be disappointed. And so sometimes you're not, sometimes you are, but you just run the risk of, with greater expectations, there's a risk for greater disappointment. And that's with anything. And so one of the reasons why we're kind of starting now as opposed to later is because we do want more than one child, if we can help it. I've been doing a lot of research and looking stuff up, and I know for people who are like, oh, but medical school and kids in medical school is hard, and obviously, it's not. It may slow things down, but it won't stop no show. But I was looking up a lot, and if we look at the timeline now, so we're both 27. both just turned 27. By the time I graduate, well, I'll be 27 when I graduate. My birthday's in August, so I'll be 28 during that gap year, and 29 by the time I start medical school. Lord willing, that things happen in that way. And so, yeah, we're already at that 30, which I don't know how hard and fast that is for you, but you know that we already there. And you know, from what I've been hearing from recent grads and everything, is you don't want to be pregnant your first year of med school,
and
because that's the adaptive. That's when you're trying to figure out what life is like.
Sure. And I think from what I've been able to gather, now she's speaking from her experience going to school. From my experience, just trying to live life in general, because not everybody's going to med school for sure. So just kind of from a general standpoint, any point in time, there's never a perfect time to have children.
Right.
There never is going to be a time where you're always going to be like working on a job or trying to get promoted or trying to do one thing and trying to do the other. And there's no like perfect ideal time to really have a child, I think. And so with that being the case, coming from my perspective, I just wanted to make sure that I was able to provide the means to provide and support for my family, and for a child. And outside of that, like that's honestly like all I can ask for. Like,
yeah, cause you're not gonna be the one trying to study.
Look, I will not be the one trying to study. That is correct. But you know, I don't want to ignore the 9 months, because that's gonna be a really tough 9 months. 10
Close
months.
to 10 months, yeah.
Whatever. It's gonna be a tough year, because that's the round up. So it's gonna be a tough year. But I've assumed, due to your schooling, that I'll probably be playing a large role in caretaking for the child.
Well, yeah, you were gonna do that anyway.
Yes, because I'm the father. But
right.
I mean, in an ideal world where it's a 50-50 thing, I might have to go 60-40 or 70-30 for the time that you're in school, just because you won't have the time allowed it to, you know, to take care of the kid.
I mean, well, and that's typically when it comes to like if we were pregnant during school. If I end up pregnant, then if we end up pregnant relatively soon, then the next year and a half or so that we'll have before medical school, we'll kind of have time to adjust. So between the pregnancy, between the healing, between just trying to figure out what it looks like to be parents, you know, hopefully by then our baby would be old enough to where we kind of have a sleep schedule, we kind of have a routine. Like, so while trying to figure out what medical school looks like, at least that would be one less thing to worry about, ideally. So
I think also, so we've addressed kind of like timing, and just the intentionality of like why we choose now. But in the planning, I think maybe it'd be cool to also address like the fact that location's gonna play a big part in why we're choosing now too.
Location is big, right? So for people who are familiar with the med school process, the application process, unless you're like the perfect candidate, which they exist, but I'm not one of them, and not a lot of people are, beggars can't be choosers, right? And so when it comes to location, there are a lot of things that are important to me, but one of the biggest things for me is support, right? Having a big support system. And so when we talk about location, being with family, if we are blessed to where I end up in a school where we have relatives, then that will also, of course, help significantly, because all them relatives and friends that have been like, so when are y'all gonna start having kids and looking for little babies? We coming to collect, okay? We coming to collect. Y'all been asking us for these kids since like the week after we got married. We're 3.5 years in now. Probably 4 by the time any baby comes. So we're coming to collect. So just being able to have that support as well, of course, will make things easier. But the blessing is that Q works in a field where he can pretty much probably get a job anywhere, because IT is like that. Like, there are so many different fields. There are so many different, since we live in such a tech rural society at this point, or tech involved society, like, the better you are and the more knowledgeable you are at tech, the easier it's going to be to find a job. So that's one of the things that that's a blessing. And with COVID and everything the way that it is now, everybody's working from home anyway. So like, having a position that may allow for more, a job that allows for more remote working, staying home more, will also be helpful. I mean, even with classes. I mean, granted, I'll be taking, it'll be during our gap year prayerfully, but even if it's during med school, who knows what things may look like in the next couple of years. Who knows what our new normal is going to be. So if we are looking at possibly being online the majority of the time, even then that will help allow both of us to kind of be home more. Even if we have to take turns being present, at least we can both be home, which also helps with childcare costs, because childcare is not cheap. So yeah, location is kind of a big deal. And then just like, do you feel like COVID and the pandemic has kind of influenced how you feel or the timing of everything?
I don't think so. The pandemic in regards to my family, it can be a little, you have to be more aware when you talk about starting a family during a time like this. But I'm not scared. And I'm not moving or making decisions in a way that I feel like I'm making them out of fear.
Right.
A lot of people actually is like, are you sure you want to start a family during a time like this?
That's what my mom said.
But I think we can't continue to live in a fear. Yeah. Because if you do, it's gonna rule all your decisions. And that doesn't mean you make decisions without wisdom, but there comes a time and a place where you have to make adjustments. Like what happened in 2001, it was a scary time for a lot of people.
September 11th.
Mm-hmm. But people made adjustments, and our life looks a little different now in some aspects, especially in regards to travel and things like that. And I think this is going to have some sort of similar impact where it's going to look different, and we're going to have to be wise about the way we interact with each other, the way we interact with the things around us as well. But that doesn't mean that life stops.
Right.
And so with that being the case, we will, make educated decisions. We'll stay, prayed up, and equip ourselves with what the Lord provides us with in order to be as safe and as healthy as possible. But no, I won't say it's really forced my hand in any way.
I do feel like it adjusted our timing though, because remember, we were going to stop the birth control in June initially, and Yeah, we were initially gonna do it in June, and then we decided, I forgot why. I think part of it was the pandemic that we decided to push it to September. So that's like 3 months. And I think there were a couple of factors in there, but that was like, I think the pandemic played somewhat of a role. But when it comes to decisions like that, I do think, yeah, the world keeps turning. Can you imagine like how bad or how weird things would be if there was like a population freeze because of this pandemic? Like everybody was like, no, we're not gonna do kids right now. I think one of the things that can be a little stressful is with the hospital policies. Like, so a lot of hospitals now, they're only allowing one person in, which can be extremely stressful. And which I kind of don't understand, because if we both in the same household, then it's like the same. Like, I don't know. Like, if you got it, I got it. If I got it, you got it.
You the one in medicine, you tell me.
Like, I don't know. I guess they're trying to reduce the chances. Like, the more people you have in the room, the higher chance you have of transmission.
Because I don't think that's the point as much as it's like, you might have it, but they can try to prepare for you to protect the doctors and nurses,
right,
and people there in the room. But having me there only increases their chances of getting it.
I guess, so. and that makes sense to a degree. I guess I just think about, like, you know, and not to digress too much, but when you think about the stresses of labor and delivery and pregnancy and people missing out on, or especially fathers missing out on the big appointments, you know, on the big ultrasounds and stuff like that. Like, I think it's possible to acknowledge that you're doing things that while you're trying to keep everyone as safe as possible, you can acknowledge that the stuff still sucks. Like, nobody wants to miss their first child's heartbeat. You know, nobody wants to miss that first anatomical appointment, you know, like, and that sucks. Like, and it's okay to acknowledge both. Segueing back to family planning, we kind of got off topic. So it's just one of those things where they will, like you said, there will never be a perfect time. Like, 2020 was tough. 2021, we don't know what 2021 is gonna bring.
I'm just assuming 2021 gonna be tough too.
Yeah. So if we constantly make decisions for the future out of fear of what the future will bring, then you will never make any decisions. It's gonna be paralyzing, and we're not gonna do that. And as far as school, it's actually interesting. So I was looking up things regarding being, having a kid in medical school or being pregnant in medical school. And a lot of articles that I read, parents were actually talking about how their time management got so much better. Because time management, as I'm sure most med students and doctors can attest, it's huge when it comes to your schooling, your career as a physician. And so being a parent forces you to learn how to manage that better and efficiently, like trial by fire type deal. So I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, kids during school or whatever. And I get it. It's harder, obviously. And it's probably gonna be more stressful, but I think it's just some stuff you just gotta do it. By the time, because let's be real, by the time I finish school, I'm starting at 29, Lord willing, 4 years of med school. So I'll be, 33, yeah, math. And then,
it's 29 plus 4, girl.
I know. 33. And then, residency, which for the field that I'm thinking of going into will probably be at least 3 years. And then if I do any fellowships or anything like that, that's additional time. So I may not even be done with the education piece until I'm almost 40, or I'll be at least early 30s, which again, it's fine if you only want one child, or if you want all your children back to back to back to back to back. That's not what we want though. We want a little break in between, and we want multiple kids. So that's just something that we just have to roll with. I mean, my journey to medicine has been a longer, winding road. And so these are just kind of some of the things that come with that when you're in school during child rearing years. Yeah.
Facts.
So this is kind of just some of the stuff that we've considered, some of the things that we're thinking about, that we've thought about before making our decision to start trying. We're 2 months in now, nothing yet. Prayerfully soon we'll have something, but have something. Prayerfully soon I'll be pregnant, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, let us know, like, did y'all consider a bunch of stuff before having your kids? Was your kid planned? You know, a lot of folks don't be planning, it just happens, you know.
Pop up.
But I have the mindset where if you're not planning to prevent pregnancy, then you're planning to get pregnant. Like, it's gonna happen. So, you know, was your child planned? If you are in med school or are a doctor or did some sort of higher education while you were having kids, what was that like? Any advice? You know, anything like that? Any tips while we're trying? Let us know in the comments what you all think. And as always, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all next time.
Love.
Peace.